Okay, the Global Genius, welcome back. So let's talk about combining and splitting arrays, okay? You can actually have two arrays. You can combine them together to make one array, two or three more arrays. You can combine them together to make one array. You can actually get an array and split it to become one single string, okay? So let us see some of these methods and we'll take a look at some examples, all right? So let's jump into it. So the first one we'll take a look at is the concat method. The concat method merges two or more arrays. So if you have two arrays and you want to make them one, you can just use the concat method, okay, and it will become one array. So the concat method in JavaScript is used to merge two or more arrays. It does not modify the original arrays. It doesn't, but it returns a new array. So it doesn't modify the original array. Those original arrays will still be what they used to be before the concating of the two of them. So this is the syntax. You are going to call, for the first array, you call the concat method on it. Then you're now passing one or two or more arrays to it. And it will return a new array. But this particular first array, the array one, will not be changed. It will remain the same thing. Okay? So let's take a look at some examples. Now, the first one is concatenating two arrays. You have two arrays and you want to make them one. Most times when you're working with database, you fetch your data from database, they come in arrays, and you might want to concatenate them. Okay. So first of all, you have your first array, you have the second array, then you can now call the concat method on any of them, then passing the second array as the argument, and of course you get one full array. So let's go and take an example. Let's go and see it in action. So, all right. So I have this array, and I also have another array. So I'll go array 2. I'll go for array 2. And then this array starts from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if I want to concatenate them, okay, so the results, concatenated array will be in this result. So I will now say the array dot concat. All right, so and if you look at this concat, all right, it has two overloads. You see, it has these items, and these items can be an array of numbers. So additional arrays or items to add to the end of the array. All right. So this could actually be an array or it could just be an item. So it combines two or more arrays. This method returns a new array without modifying any existing array. If I go to the second one expects almost the same thing. Okay. Okay, this one takes in an array. Okay. It can take one or more arrays, and this one also does the same thing, but this one, it could be an array or it could be a number. So I could pass in the array 2 like this. I could also pass in, I could pass in an array like this, and when I run this code, oh, sorry, we don't have slides, we don't have, we're going to have an error, yeah, sorry. So when I run this array, all right, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. You see, they have been concatenated. So this is one overload of this. I could also say, I could also go for the second overload. I could say 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right? And when I run this code now, they are going to be concatenated into one. You can see this, okay, because of the positioning, you can see this 11 now came in before the 6, 7, 8. So in order to make it look better, I could just place that array 2 here. Okay, so you can see I go on and run this. So I now have 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 came from the first array. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 came from the array 2. Then 11, 12, 13, 14 came from the other argument that I put in. So this could be numbers. or string, depending on the type of the array. And it could also be arrays or true. So you can just play around with this and see what you get. All right. So the next one is concatenating multiple arrays. So you have multiple arrays, you want to concatenate more than one. So it's just the same way. Concat, then you just provide the second array. So here, I could actually have a third array. I could make an array from here. Yeah, this is an array right away. I'm making an array right away. You can see, so this is an array. This is an array. So it's either here, I'm not storing it, I'm just using it as an array literal. Okay, so when I run this code now, it's just going to give me the same thing. All right, it's just going to give me the same thing. So you can concatenate more than one array. I could even come up here and create and add another array and stuff like that. So you can concatenate more than one array, or more than two or three. Okay, you can concatenate multiple arrays. All you have to do is to put them separate the values with comma. All right. So you can concatenate with non-array values. I've just shown you that. You get, I just showed you that where we have 11, 12, 13, 14. I just showed you that already. So you can also do this. Okay, you can do this. Here, this 4 is not an array, but this 5, 6 is an array. So, and you can concatenate them and they also worked. So you can concatenate with an empty array, cloning an array. So look at this example. We have the original array, and you can see this is an empty array, and we are calling the concat method on an empty array, and we are passing the original array into it. So it will now return the original array. It will return the original array, but right now we are actually cloning it. Maybe you don't want to make use of the original array, or you want to clone it so that you can use it you can now manipulate the cloned array. So you can go with this empty array dot concat. So if I do this now, I have this, all right? I want to clone the first array. I could just go on with an empty array like this. Create an empty array. I will now say dots. So I can still go with the concat. Then I will now pass that original array. So what I'm going to do now is, it might be possible that, okay, I don't want to mess up with this first original array, but the second, with what I get here, the clone that I have here, I can now work with it. It depends on your logic. Okay, it depends on your logic. So if I run this now, we are just going to get the same content. But right now, we have cloned it. So you can do stuff like this. Okay, there is also something you can also do. An empty array like this. Okay, you can also do spread operator, dot, 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 3 dots, then you pass in that array. So here you have actually concatenated, you created an array and you passed in this array into it. So all the values of the original, this first array will be added into this array. If we run this, we will still get the same answer. We can also do something like this. We can do the spread operator for the array 2, and we are having the 2 of them inside. So this also works. Okay. So that is the concat method. And I just showed you the spread operator alternative. That's what I just showed you now. You can actually use it. Okay, that's what I just showed you. So when you use the spread operator, you are actually going to take the content of that array and put it inside of the new array that you're creating. So the content of array 1 and array 2 will be added inside this array here. So the result will not be an array of the 2 of them. Okay. So the join convert an array to a string. Let's assume you have an array of names. All right. If you want to convert that array to a string, you use the join method. So the join method in JavaScript is used to convert an array into a string by joining its elements with a specified separator. So you're going to join the elements of the array to a string with a specified separator. So this can really come handy. If no separator is provided, then a comma is used by default. So when you have an array of elements and you want to join them, if you do not provide any separator, comma will be used as the default. So this is the syntax. You call array.join, you provide the separator. The separator is optional. but the separator is a string that is used to separate the array elements in the output. The default is a comma. So let's go straight to, let me show you something. So let's say I have an array like this, and what I have here is, okay, I have hello, 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 how, how are you? So this is an array, okay? So I have hello, and I have comma, I have how, I have are, I have you. So hello, how are you? So if I want to make this thing a string, if I want to make this whole thing as a string, I will say array.join. All right. I will have to provide a separator. What do I want to use to separate these elements in that string? I can provide an empty space like this because so that I can have space between them. And if I go on and run this code, now you're going to see we are going to get hello, how are you? You see, we got hello, how are you? Okay, we got hello, how are you? But if I don't provide the separator here is an empty string. But if I don't provide anything, it will use comma by default. So it will come like this. Hello, comma, comma, hello, how are you, comma, separated. So, but it is up to you to know how to work around with it. It is your logic. Now, depending on what you want to do. So here we are able to do join without a separator and also with a separator. So separator will be what are we going to use to separate the strings? The elements that we are putting together to be a string, what are we going to use to separate them? That's the separator. All right, so let's take a look at some of examples. The default behavior comma separator, which is an empty array, an empty separator. You see, we are calling this join on apple, banana, cherry. So what we are going to get, we are going to get apple, comma, banana, comma, cherry, because with the empty separator, all right, the default is comma. So since we did not provide any separator here, it will now use comma to separate them. Okay? All right. So the next one is using a custom separator. I just showed you how we use an empty a space to separate them. But you can also use dash. You can use anything at all. You can use pipe. So if I go back to what we have, I can say the separator is dash. All right. And when I run this code, it's going to come like this. You can see there is dash in between all the strings. This is just one string, but there is dash between each of the words. Okay. I could say pipe. Anything at all, anything at all, anything you provide here. Okay, I could say pipe. I could even say separator, but this doesn't actually make sense. I'm just trying to show you. So the separator will be in between all of them. You can see that separator in between all of them, but of course this doesn't make sense. But I just want to show you that you can put separator, any separator at all. As long as it makes sense for you, you can use any separator at all. So here we use hyphen, here we are using pipe, here we are using empty string, and you can see there is no space between them. All right. And then we can also join numbers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are joining these numbers with an empty string. So there will be no space between these numbers. All right. These are numbers of array numbers, and we are using empty string to concatenate them, to join them. And we are going to get a string, and there is no space because the separator does not have any space in it. Okay, when you use space, when you put in space, you can see there is space now because we are using space as a separator. So I want you to play around with this thing. Here we are using hyphen. So it depends on your logic. It's up to you to do whatever you want to do with it. All right. You can also join an array with empty elements. We have hello, and we have a space. You remember there is two comma here, and there is a space between the comma. So this is a character. Yeah, an empty space. A space is a character. All right. So you can see we are joining this array with the separator of hyphen. So we now got hello hyphen hyphen because there is a space here. So empty element results in an extra separator. All right, because we have three items. After hello, there is a hyphen, and after that, after this space, after hello, there is a space. After this space, there will also be a hyphen. So that's why we got this thing. So just play around with it so that you can see it. It's very simple to understand. You can also join an empty array. When you join an empty array, what are you going to get? You get an empty string. All right. You get an empty string because there's nothing in there to join, so you get an empty string. So if you want to convert an array to an empty string, you just have to call that just have to call join on that empty array. You get an empty string. So this is another trick. Okay. So alternatively, you can use the toString. When you call toString also converts an array to a string, but always uses commas. So this is as if you're calling the join method without a separator. So when you call array.toString, it will return a string separated by commas. So you can see here we're calling the toString method on this array, and we are getting a string separated with commas. All right. I'm not going to do the example or code here because I believe this is very simple. So you can play around with it. Play around with it, okay? And if you don't understand it, chat me up. All right. So, and at the end of the day, this array, we join it. Okay, so you can see this toString is as if you're calling the join method without a separator. So look at it, we got the same result, both of them. Okay. So if you put a separator, it changes and it will have these hyphens in between them. All right. So let's talk about the split method. The split method is what we use to convert strings to arrays. We use the join method to convert array to strings, but we use the split method to convert strings to array. All right. In JavaScript, split is a method used on strings, not arrays. So you use the split method on strings to convert them to arrays. So it is used to split a string into an array based on a specified separator. So when you have a string and you call the split method on that string, it will convert it to an array with that separator. So let's take it. This is the syntax. We have this string dot split and we have the separator. So this is the separator is it specifies the character to split the string by. So if you omit it, the entire string is returned as a single element array. So let me show you something. Okay, we have a string. So we have this string. Hello, how are you? All right. So I can now call array.split. Sorry, I can now call string. This string dot split. All right. So if I open the parenthesis here, it's asking me for the separator. Now, on what separator do I want to separate these strings? You can see I have hello and I have a space, I have space, I have space. There is space between hello, comma, between how there are spaces. So this separator is on what basis do you want to separate these strings? So what is it that whenever I say it, I will separate them? So if I say separate them by empty space like this, all right, let's see what we are going to get. It will separate hello, comma, because we get there's a space here, there's another space here, there's another space here. So when you run it, we are going to get hello, you understand? How are you? You can see we got an array. So it divided them based on the spaces between them. If I don't want to use that separator, I can say, I want you to split this string by comma. So anywhere you see comma, divide it. So what do you think? We only have one comma here. That means we will have one element here and another element here. So we are dividing this string into two because we only have one separator here, which is the comma here. So when I run this thing now, we are going to get hello, then how are you? So we got two items, two elements inside this array because we only have one comma in this separator. But when we did that, when we use space, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 spaces. So that is why we got 4. All right. So that is it. Then the limit is the maximum number of spaces to include in the array. So how many numbers, how many items, how many elements do you want this array to contain? If I go, I can say I just want this array to contain just one item. So when I do this, it will only give me the first item. It will give me the first item only. So, but if I go on to separate this thing by spaces, I could get more than one. So I could just say, give me the first two. That's the limit here. So you give me two. If I say give me three, it will give me three. All right, so you can see. So you use the limit, all right, to limit the number of elements that's being returned to the array. Now, all these things that we are teaching you here, we don't expect you to cram them. But the thing is that understand the concepts. And so that whenever you feel like, oh, I want to do something like this, these things will come to your mind. And even if you have forgotten them, you can go and make references. Okay? So let's take a look at some examples. We are splitting a string into an array. We have apple, banana, cherry. So if you want to split this thing now by the separator of comma, that means it will convert this string to 1, 2, 3 items in an array because we have to, when we separate this thing by commas, just by looking at it, you'll see that we have apple separated by comma, apple and banana separated by comma. So we get 1, 2, 3. So when you run this thing, now you're going to get apple, banana, and cherry. All right. So you split with spaces. I have just shown you that we have space here. There is a space between hello and word. There is a space between word and JavaScript. So we are dividing them by spaces. So when you split by spaces, you're going to get hello, word, JavaScript. Just play around with them. You can split with a character. All right, A, B, C, D, and we have this hyphen. So we can split by this hyphen. When we split by this hyphen, we are going to get A, B, C, and D in the array. So when you split it, you're going to get them separately like this. So basically, I have just shown you. You can also do limits. I have just shown you how to use the limit. So just play around with these things. You can also split each character. Now you have a string like this. But if you can look now, there is nothing. You'll be like, how do we separate this thing? So if you use empty string to separate this hello, you're going to get, look at it, they use empty string here. So when you separate it with an empty string, you're going to get HELLO. All right, so this is how you split a string. All right, that just one word string. If you want to split them into into their respective characters, you just use an empty string. So you can also split without a separator. Hello, when you call split on it, it will just return the entire string as an array. It will not going to split it because you did not provide any separator. It will just return this entire string as an element of the array. Like I said, play around with these things, okay? So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next session, all right? If you have any question, if you have any confusion, please reach out to me, chat me up on WhatsApp, and I'll be available, okay? Thank you.